All right. Now that was the Bohr's atomic model, which he postulated in 1913. Okay, this was Bohr's atomic model. And now we have the modern atomic model. Modern atomic model is the atomic model that we currently use. And this is what a magnesium atom looks like. Okay, so this is what a nucleus looks like. Basically, it's like a bunch of protons and neutrons all, like just stuck to each other, and they're rotating and like all mush, whatever. So this is what a nucleus looks like, and this is what electrons revolving around the nucleus looks like. Okay, so this is the magnesium atom. Magnesium atom has an atomic number of 12. If it has atomic number of 12, that means it has 12 protons also, right? Because that's what
electrons also.
Yes, and 12 electrons also. Very good. So magnesium has 12 protons and 12 electrons. But remember, the definition of atomic number is atomic number is equal to the number of protons. We will never say atomic number is equal to the number of electrons. I will explain that to you later. Always remember, atomic number is equal to the number of protons and only protons. Not neutrons, not electrons, only protons. Okay. So now, constituents of an atom. Constituents of an atom, basically what does an atom consist according to modern atomic model? So the modern atomic model states that the atom consists of neutrons, protons and electrons. These are called subatomic particles. So what is the charge of subatomic particles? We just studied that neutron has no electric charge. The mass is almost equal to 1 unit. It is denoted by the symbol N10. So you write whatever your particle is. If it is neutron, the particle, you need to write the unit mass on top and you need to write the charge on the bottom. Okay, so 1 denotes the unit mass in AMU and 0 denotes the charge. Now, proton has a unit positive charge. So how will I write? I'll write proton, unit positive charge. So I'll say +1. And remember, mass is always written on the top. So mass will be 1 unit. Neutron and proton are almost similar. Okay, so 1 unit, 1 unit. So now let's write down electron. Electron is denoted by E. The mass of an electron is 1/1837 times the mass of 1 atom of hydrogen. Remember, 1 atom of hydrogen is nothing but 1 proton and 1 mass of hydrogen atom is nothing but mass of 1 proton, right? So basically what they are saying is mass of an electron is 1/1837 times the mass of a proton, which is very, very small. So we will almost take that as negligible or 0. Okay, so we'll take the mass of electron as 0 and the unit charge on the electron will be -1. So these are the symbols by which we then denote neutron, protons and electrons. Everybody clear on this part? All right, cool. Let's proceed. Okay, now position of the subatomic particles. Protons and neutrons form the central core of the atom called nucleus. We just studied that. They are firmly held together by strong nuclear forces. So now if you look at this neutrons and protons over here, why do you think neutrons and protons are attracted to each other and they are stuck to each other and rotating about each other? That is because of forces between them called nuclear forces. So nuclear forces are very, very strong. So because of these strong nuclear forces of attraction, the neutrons and the protons are attracted to each other. The electrons revolve around the nucleus. Okay. So now force on the electrons. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in fixed orbit or energy levels. We just studied that. Or shells at great speed. So they revolve at great speed around the nucleus in their respective orbits. Now, due to this high speed, they experience outward pull or centrifugal force. Okay, this force is counterbalanced by the electrostatic forces of attraction between electrons and nucleus. Remember that the nucleus has protons. Protons are positively charged. Electrons are negatively charged. So whenever you have opposite charges, they will attract each other, right? So what happens is the pull force. So have you guys done something like this, you know, where you tie a stone to a thread and then you turn it around? Have you guys done that?
No, ma'am.
Oh, you should do it. Okay, so yeah, so when you do that, what you'll notice is when you take a string and you tie something to the end of the string and you take the other end of the string and you start rotating around, what happens is you will notice that the string is pulling on your hand. That means what this stone or the whatever you attach to the other end of the string is trying to go away from you. Okay, so if it's trying to go away from you, something has to keep it within that orbit. What is that something in this case? It is your hand. The force that you are giving from the hand, that force is being transmitted in the string. That string is pulling it in place and keeping it from falling away from you, right? So that tension in the string is what holds it in place. That is why these two forces, the forces which tries to pull away and the force that is keeping it in its particular orbit, these two forces balance each other out and they continue in rotating in their orbit. Similarly, because electrons revolve around the nucleus in their own orbits at very high speed, they will tend to go outside, but they don't go away from the nucleus because positive charge and negative charge attract each other, and this is called electrostatic force of attraction. So this electrostatic force of attraction between the electrons and the nucleus balances out the centrifugal force that is experienced by the electrons, and hence the electrons end up staying within the orbit. Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So the electrons in the shells close to the nucleus are held strongly by electrostatic pull of protons. These protons are called bound electrons. Therefore, the electrons in the outermost shell experience very small nuclear forces because the distance between them and the nucleus increases. These electrons are called valence electrons. So basically, electrons that are present in the outermost shell of any atom. Okay, so any atom, this over here is the tin, it is called tin atom, it is called stannum. Yeah, stannum is the Latin name for tin, and the atomic number is 50. So if atomic number is 50, then the number of protons will also be 50. So yeah, now let's take a look at what are the valence electrons for this particular atom. The valence electrons for this particular atom are the electrons in the outermost shell. So there are 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So these electrons are called valence electrons. Okay. So we have to notice that these valence electrons are further away from the nucleus compared to these 2 electrons. So which one has more forces of attraction? The ones closer to the nucleus or the ones away from the nucleus?
Away from the nucleus.
Which one has more force of attraction? For example, if I put something on the surface of the earth, will that have more force of attraction towards the earth? Or if I put something in the space, will that have more force of attraction to the earth?
The electrons closer to the nucleus.
Very good. So electrons closer to the nucleus will have more force of attraction to the nucleus, whereas electrons further away from the nucleus will not be that attracted to the nucleus. That means it is easier to remove the electrons that are away from the nucleus, and it is more difficult to remove electrons that are close to the nucleus. Okay? Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Okay, so we will stop here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. If not, we will continue in the next class.